Well, she is getting raves for her directorial debut, a new adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and with me is Autumn de Wilde, director. Thank you so much for being here. I personally have great memories attached to this movie because it's actually the last film I was able to see in theaters before
Yeah.
we had to shut down. Is that a common
Yeah.
experience? And a lot of people told you that?
Yeah, I feel like it's the temporary apocalypse film, which is it's kind of exciting. I'm glad it's like wrapped up in a compliment usually. I'm not People aren't really probably sharing the other version of it with me, but um yeah, I did want to make an escape film, and I didn't know how badly we would need an escape film, so I'm glad that I got a chance to release it in the theaters, because obviously it's a dream of mine. And then seems like we had a successful digital release,
Yeah.
during the beginning of the pandemic. So I feel very lucky about the timing, but I would have loved for more people to have seen it in the theaters, because it was well designed for it. Yeah.
Yes, it looks great on a big screen.
Yeah.
And you have a amazing career as a photographer, and this is your first feature. So, what made you want to make the jump into directing from photography?
I'm I you know I've always been a storyteller, photographer, so I was obsessed with film stills from a young age, and I kind of always wanted all my album covers and photos and it to seem like scenes from movies, and with my documentary work, that really, I think it was with Beck and the Raconteurs and the White Stripes. I would, we call it the great reenactments, like, wait, do that again, but now do this. So I think I was always a director photographer. And because of that, some of my early supporters, which was Beck and Elliott Smith, Elliott was the first person to ask me to do a music video. And I feel like I'm a director because of him, but it was also because of the process, which was sort of like, I like to help the musicians I was working with create a character that they could give them a relief from the diary of their life that was always present, gives them a chance to play within the character they created in the record, and yet make it really as honest as it needed to be for the type of music it was, and Beck is one of the great, abstract actors of music, I think.
Absolutely.
And so I got a chance to really spread my wings that way by experimenting with visually and cinematically with him.
And with many others, you had Rilo Kiley and Jenny Lewis.
Jenny Lewis, big
So
muse for me.
great collaborators. Is there something you felt like, is there one sort of lesson or technique, something that you learned from those music videos that you were able to bring with you to Emma?
Well, Jenny Lewis and I is a great example, because we really, every record, we pretended they were stills from a movie that record was a soundtrack for. It sort of started unofficially, but then it became a thing, like, okay, this record's movie is this, and she was playing this character, and all coming from the honest part of herself. But I think I think actors could be more rock stars than they are treated. Now, not the superficial version of a rock star, but that sort of, the great thing about Jenny Lewis is that she's story first. Sure, like everyone wants to look attractive and this, but she's not like, will I look hot? And then what's the story? And I think the actors that I'm drawn to are like, what's the story? And then the beauty emerges from that. And the beauty emerges especially from the awkward moments, especially from the, ruffled, like, there's probably nothing sexier than a worn out, like the guy or girl who is just on stage, in a band, and they're sweaty and destroyed backstage. It's hot, and so I think that, there was a big part of Emma was by establishing the rules of the world. It was a big deal when when Emma's hair got messed up, or when she was overwhelmed and forgot her bonnet, or whatever it is, and so, it doesn't sound initially like rock and roll, but because I'm not dealing with an actor that is vanity first, I'm dealing with like an incredible actor, Anya Taylor-Joy, who's like, what happens to me as this character in this moment, and then and she's not trying to look like a fashion plate, even though Emma is, but the actor is not trying to hide anything. She's like, we had a thing about ugly crying, Anya's like, if it's okay with you, I'm really into ugly crying. I don't want to cry pretty. And I was like, absolutely. This would be like an hour-long meeting trying to convince you of it. I think one of the things I love about Anya, that it does make her, like, I feel the way I feel working with Beck, with Jack White, with Jenny Lewis, is that she uses style as a storytelling device. She I think the blindness of vanity, she's aware of it, and so she's able to use it as a storytelling device. Yeah.
What was the process? Did you know right away that she was going to be Emma? What made her the best fit for that role?
Yeah, The Witch and Thoroughbreds. Yeah, I looked at all the young actresses out there, and my cast was part of my pitch. I was asked to pitch on Emma, and I had about a month to prepare, and I decided that I was going to fake cast it to like clarify, like, now imagine this person is this, plus all the things I've said, and it helped regardless of whether they would be my ending, how they would end up. But a lot of them did. Johnny Flynn was in that group, Mia Goth, Anya Taylor-Joy. I had no idea that Anya Taylor-Joy and Mia Goth were best friends. I got a nose for that kind of thing, but I didn't know. And so Anya was very important because, in The Witch, she successfully plays the victim and the villain. And in Thoroughbreds, you're rooting for her, and then she sees this darker side, and I saw a real actor in there. Oh. I also love Anya it was very important to me in this film that the faces were unforgettable. I feel like there's a lot of I don't know. I like strange qualities in faces. That's the photographer in me. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to be like, I don't care if they don't remember the name of the actor, but I want them to be like, that's I know who that person is, like, more than fame, and it's a big ensemble cast, and that was really important to me.
I wanted to ask about that because there's a lot of elastic faces in that cast, and Anya's been getting a lot of great notices for this, as she deserves to. It's a great role, but I was really struck by how every character really, no matter how minor a role it is, really pops. I mean, Jeffrey Rush is in it and hysterical. Miranda Hart is hysterical and heartbreaking. But what was the secret?
Bill Nye. Yeah, Bill Nye is, yeah. Is that what you mean?
Sorry?
You said Bill, you mean Bill Nye?
Oh, yes, Bill Nye.
Yeah, sorry.
We're in the pandemic, things are,
I know.
My mind's everywhere. Sorry, Bill Nye. Good grief.
Yeah, and Miranda Hart.
But what's the sort of secret for you to make all those characters, no matter how small, pop on screen?
Well, I even though, the book is called Emma, and, and at first glance, you think it's a love story with a little friendship thrown in. For good reason. I mean, Jane Austen wrote a scenario that has happened to all of us. Oh, do I love my best friend? I'm so mad at my best friend. I would never love them. Oh my God, they seem like my brother. And oh no, they have a girlfriend. I love them. So I feel like that's When Harry Met Sally. They're like, that story's told over and over and over. But this, without the cast, the ensemble cast, you don't get, the stakes can never be as high as they feel to the characters. You have to, it needs to become a high school movie, a successful high school movie. like Clueless, genius,
Mm.
but a successful high school movie is also like a successful office film or TV show or a small town. It's about building the cage that's trapping everyone in there, and they're stuck with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that affects everyone's behavior. And it also is a satire on the class system. So, which are the closest thing that we really, in our guts, we feel is the class system that exists. Obviously, in America, we have a whole different set of problems, but the class system in high school is like, I'll always be in this category, right?
Mm.
The cheerleaders, the this, the that, the nerds, the stoners. It's like, so I think that I wanted this to be a high school film in the way it felt, but really follow the rules of the 19th century and humanize it.
Yeah. It's always interesting to me, like, as you said, there's Clueless, there's many versions of Emma that have been told. There's other versions of this movie that have been filmed previously. And whenever you adapt something going from page to screen, there's always has to be certain changes, things that are added or subtracted or highlighted. So what was the process for you? How did you work alongside the screenwriter to sort of decide what gets kept and what gets changed, maybe?
Well, what was, first I was working with a genius, Eleanor Catton. So what was great is she had a first draft, and then I pitched a screwball comedy angle on it, and the working title and blueprint loved that, and then Eleanor loved that, and so we used and this actually applies to the different body types and faces, is the recipe for screwball comedy, like Bringing Up Baby or His Girl Friday. The recipe was different body sizes, and and the comedy is heightened by that, right? And the hierarchy is sort of established by the physical comedy and the body sizes, rather than everyone sort of blending in as the same type of person, right? That becomes really important, that their faces tell you what character they are. It becomes a storytelling, it becomes a shortcut storytelling device. And then with Eleanor, she totally embraced that style, and I used to call her the Jane Austen translator. I was like, you should just be an app. Like, I should just be like, I want to complain to someone about something. I put it through the Jane Austen translator app, and then she writes your Jane Austen lines. She really what I love about Eleanor Catton is she is also a obsessive research person, and she really got inside the language and the rules of the language and the musicality of the language. So there's things in there that are from my life, like nosebleeds. I get nosebleeds all the time. So she's the architect and the conductor of the story, and so she was able to, she liked an idea of like a human angle to add into it. She knew, I think, not how to not disrupt the very important Jane Austen designs. But when a book is written, Jane Austen is one of the most important writers of our ever, and she was so good that you can claim the book as your own and do your own interpretation of it. That's great writing.
Yeah.
There's a lot to pull from, and there will always be leftovers,
And I'm sure, because you have, the background as a photographer, that you had a lot of ideas about how the film should look. There's a very strong visual language to the movie. So what was it like working with the cinematographer for that? What conversations were there?
Chris Blauvelt is like my part of my heart. Like, if he's too far away, I might, be in danger. So we've collaborated for a long time, and what's beautiful about Chris Blauvelt is a lot of things. His vision and his talent, but also the way he works with directors. He did First Cow. I love that First Cow happens a little bit after Emma in a different part of the world, and his relationship with Kelly Reichardt is so incredible. His relationship with Gus Van Sant, his relationship with Jonah Hill, he also did, so Chris Blauvelt did mid-90s, yeah. And he did Emma, and he did Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot with Joaquin Phoenix. And that is a testament to him as a DP, that he is such a storyteller DP, and that he is such an incredible collaborator with directors, that he becomes a part of the story in the way that he works. And we worked together for a long time because I'm a photographer, and we have a shorthand, and it's a beautiful relationship. Like, I know when being a photographer, I know when I ask for something, how long it would take, but he really knows how to make the camera a character in the film. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of visual rules together that are part of with the way we work, and we have those rules on each project. And he's also a really important DP to me because I bet the other directors would agree, is actors really love to perform for him, and that to me is one of the most important things, that I don't have any roadblocks to that communication. There's something about him that makes people want to give all of themselves, and that is really important. Since I'm not on the camera anymore when I'm directing, that's very important to me, because that, I feel like, is what I do well as a photographer.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who felt that you've done well with this film. I mean, the Boston critics give you Best New Filmmaker. Indiana critics have come out for you as well. So what is it like, seeing your first feature film getting this nice, warm reception?
It's really nice. I mean, there's a lot that can go wrong. It's a miracle when any film works. There's craft to it, yeah, but there's also a series of good luck events that have to happen. I just am so thrilled about my team, so I want them to get as much attention for the work that they did. I'm a fan of everyone, Maurice Langen, hair and makeup, and Alexander Byrne, costumes, and Cave Quinn, production design. Like, we were tight, and Chris Blauvelt, the actors. Like, for me, it's really exciting if any of them get any attention for what they've done, because we also had a beautiful experience. And of course, it almost killed us. That's part of it. That's the part of the addiction. But so I guess, like, I would love the film to get the attention. I'm in love with the film, so of course. But I think, honestly, one of the biggest, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, one of the biggest things for me is that the people that have told me that it helped them through a hard time. I mean, I know for the songwriters I've worked with, to find out that a song that they wrote got someone through, like, a breakup or a horrible day, like, that to me is pretty high up there. That's like one of the biggest awards, is that kind of personal response.
Well, I think there's a great personal response for it so far. So everyone who's out there watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby. Keep up to date with us throughout the season. And Autumn, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Okay, be safe out there.